Hello, some of the people ask me how you can speak fluent English. I think one of the major reasons is just because I have an overseas experience. As I told you before, that I study and work in Canada for 8 years. But I think this is just one of the major reasons, but it's not the most critical reason. It's just because the first stop that I land in Canada is in Toronto City. And in Toronto City, we do have about like 500,000 Chinese population there. So we do have a very big, very big Chinese community. And at that time, it's about 20 years ago, most of the Chinese people, Chinese immigrant, they are in Toronto. They are from Hong Kong or from Guangdong provinces. And so that's why most of them, they speak Cantonese. And few of the Chinese speak Mandarin, and the people who speak Mandarin increasing from time to time, but still the biggest amount of the population, Chinese population, 20 years ago in Toronto, they speak Cantonese. So that's why if I stay in Toronto, if I only stay in the Chinese community, most of the time that I can speak Cantonese, then although I speak Cantonese, but I still can have the normal life, just because I don't need to speak English that time if I just stay inside the Chinese community. So that's why I think go to Canada, especially go to Toronto study, is just one of the major reasons that I can allow me to practice my English. And that is not, but it's not the critical factor that for me to learn the foreign English. It's just because if I stay in Toronto, I can have the option that I just don't speak English all the day. That is okay. Although I study in university, but of course I need to speak English, but only very few times that I need to speak English. Either I need to discuss my teamwork with my classmate, or I need to talk to my teacher, or I have to buy something in the shopping center in Toronto or something. But most of the time, if I don't want to speak English, I just stay inside the Chinese community is okay. So I don't think that, as I always tell the people, I don't think Toronto is the best city for me to practice my English. And so in Toronto, most of the time I only speak Cantonese or Mandarin. I only spend very few of my time to speak English. I speak English unless that is really necessary. Okay, and so that's why my English was not good when I studied in Toronto. I studied in Centennial College in Toronto City, and there are large amount of Chinese overseas students there. So we always group together. We always have entertainment together, go to karaoke, or have a dinner, or have a lunch or something. But how can you imagine a person can improve his English if he always accommodate with the other Chinese people almost 90% of his time? So I don't get lots of the practice. I don't have chances to practice that time. And after I graduated from Centennial College in Toronto, and then I decided to move to Ottawa. Why I left Toronto and choose to go to the new city, Ottawa, is just because some personal reason. I don't want to mention, but I choose to. But later I found that there's a right decision for me to choose my university career in Ottawa. It's because Ottawa is quite different than in Toronto. Is of course the city sizes is much more smaller than Toronto, and the culture is quite like a combination of the French culture and British culture. I mean, in Ottawa, and there's a bridge that link between Ottawa and Quebec provinces. As we all know, that Ottawa is the capital of Canada, and Ottawa also belong to Ontario provinces. So there's a river, we call it our Ottawa River, and there's a bridge above the Ottawa River. So that bridge link both Ontario provinces and Quebec provinces. So once I always walk through that bridge from Ontario province to Quebec province, and so it's kind of the combination cultures of the French culture and British culture, because some of the people in Ottawa, they speak both language. I mean, the English and the French languages. And the population sizes of Chinese people in Ottawa is only like 30,000 people. I mean, 20 years ago, I don't know the number today, but 30 years ago it's only like 30,000. Is 10 times less than the Chinese population sizes in Toronto. And unlike in Toronto, the Chinese people in Toronto, they are always concentrate on some specific area. But in Ottawa, it's different. They spread over. So they are not live in a very in a very specific area. They are not concentrate. The major that I study in Carleton University, and I choose the sales and marketing as my major. And my program, my major, there are only two Chinese people. Two Chinese students study that major, and I'm one of them. I remember that another Chinese, she's a lady, and she's from Beijing, but I didn't talk to her so much, and so that's why I always talk to the other classmate, but who only speak English to me. Unlike the other major like IT or accounting or finance or other major, for accounting, the most of you need to do the calculation is okay. For the IT or computer sciences, you only know how to do the coding is okay. You don't need to really need to speak a lot. But for the sales and marketing, it's different though, and you need to always have a teamwork. You have to do lots of the presentation in front of the classmate. And before you do your teamwork or before you prepare for your presentation, you need to do lots of the discussion with your classmate. And as I said that I'm the only person, only Chinese person in that major. So most of my time I speak English with my classmate. It's not only like the normal dialogue. It's like a very serious discussion for our teamwork or something. And I live in an area that there are no Chinese neighbor. I'm the only Chinese person live in that places, and all of my neighbors, they speak English. Okay, and so that's why I don't have a chances to speak either Mandarin or Cantonese in Ottawa a lot. I don't get lots of the chances. But of course, still some Chinese overseas student in my school, and my best friend, they are still from China. That is for sure, because we have the same culture. But what I mean, my best friend is not something that you imagine. We're always together. We need to meet like every day. We need to meet each other every day, or at least meet each other like 2 or 3 times per day. It's not like that. Perhaps we will meet each other like once in every 2 weeks or something, or even 1 month, because we were all very busy for our teamwork and for our study, so we don't have lots of chances to meet together. And 20 years ago, there has no WeChat or WhatsApp or something, so I don't have a mobile phone that time as well. So it's difficult to communicate with each other at that time. Sometimes I have a telephone in my home or something. The only way that they can contact me is by telephone, or we can use another software names SSM, or I forget that software. SMS. I forget that software, but we use that software to communicate online, but not so convenient as like WeChat, Skype, or WhatsApp today. It's not so convenient, just like today. Okay, so we don't have lots of chances to communicate with each other. It's not so easy to make the appointment like today. So although my best friend, they are still Chinese, but I don't get a chances to always talk to them And most of my time is the teamwork, study, read the book, and speak English to my other classmates, something like this. And after I graduated from Carleton University, and then I moved back to Toronto, and then I applied for a job. I successfully applied for a job and worked in a media company. And the boss of that media company he is Chinese, but I work as a sales manager and to sell the advertisement to the people. Although that media company is belong to Chinese, but most of my clients, they are English speaking people. Okay, I just asked them to make the advertisement because our magazine is quite popular in the Chinese community. So if the people they willing to make the advertisement on our magazine or on our website, we can just simply translate their company's information to Chinese and then show the general information of the goods and services of their company into Chinese, and this can help them to attract the Chinese potential customer to their company. So I speak English and to sell my goods and services every day. I did at least like 200 phone calls every day. Every day I went to the company and then I just pick up my phone and call the people 200 times. And this can really further improve my English. Is because how can you imagine, although I speak the same script, I say the same word, almost like 200 phone calls, I speak the same things for the 200 phone calls. But because you practice again and again, it become a muscle memory. And you have a more sense of speaking and listening English. I think it's very important. I think if you want to learn the good English, you don't need to speak a very complicated English sentence. You just need to repeat and repeat to speak a very simple English sentence. That you can improve your English in a very short length of time dramatically. So at that time, I call 200 calls per day, and I speak very fast. Okay, I speak very loudly, and so that's why I improve a lot. And then later I also found that you speak English to the people to get the money, to take the money from the wallet to buy your products. It's completely different than you just have a simple talk to the people. Once you decide to sell your products and services and decide to take the money from the other people's pocket, the way you express yourself and the body language and the impression that you are going to provide to your potential customers is completely different than the just very simple dialogue with your friends. Yeah, because you speak to the people with your very strong purpose. Okay, and so this can really give you motivate you and drive you to be to speed up to speak even fluent English. And this is not only the speaking only, and but also include some drama, some performance, some body language, many other elements as well. So that's why I stay in Canada for 8 years, and most of my time, except the days that I study in Centennial College, and I mean at the beginning 2 years I didn't speak lots of English because I always group with the other Chinese kid. Okay, and but for the rest of the time, like the 6 years, almost like 6 years, I speak English for all my life. I speak English all the days. So that's why I speak fluent English. Although my English is not so good, I know still today my English is not so good. Some people ask me whether your English is American accent or British accent. I said none of them, neither of them. My English is kind of unique English exists in this world. I don't want to imitate the American accent or British accent. It's quite difficult for me. I just use the way that I feel comfortable to speak English. But I have but I have a bottom line. Bottom line is that I need to make sure that the customer understand what I say first. Okay, once I confirm that the people understand what I say, and I don't care which type of the asset of my English it is I doesn't care. I don't care. Once I speak, you can understand. Once I think that communication is no problem, I can use my own way with my very outstanding special style of English speaking. I think I will choose the way that I feel comfortable. Okay, so this is why I can speak English, because it's not all the overseas students can will speak English all the time, although they live in other countries. But my story, my experience, it's forced me to speak English every day. It's not something that I'm willing to speak English. I want to speak Cantonese that time. I want to speak Mandarin that time. But most of the time, I have no choices. Once you have no options, you have no choices. And you need to still live your life in Canada. You still need to graduate from the school. You have no options. You have no choices. Then you only can speak English in your life. So that's why I really appreciate that time. Although I suffer a lot, especially at the beginning, but I'm really appreciate the experience that I have, no matter good or bad. This brings me can have some language skill that can allow me to serve my client today. So I'm really appreciate.